Okay, Chris, I've heard the expression digital mayor many times this morning. Can you explain to me in simple terms what that actually means?
If you're an estate agent and a letting agent and you want to get on the radar of all the homeowners and all the landlords, for them to pay attention to what you have to say and to engage with you, you have to work out what the hell they're interested in. So so you can get their attention and their interest and their engagement, because from engagement comes trust, what they're into. Now, they're not interested in it as estate agents, and they're not interested in what we sell or our services, but they are interested in themselves. Now, those people watching this video at the moment will probably already be doing landlord farming, which is a technique about talking about the property market locally and giving out great advice and opinion on the property market. But Jeff, let me ask you a question. You live in Boston, which is in Lincolnshire, and tomorrow, let's just say on the high street, there was a BBC van with a BBC blazoned all over it, with a tripod and a camera talking to someone. What would you do at 6:30 that evening?
I'd tune into the television station and try and find out exactly what was going on.
Why is that?
Because I'm interested by something that I'd seen during the day and wanted to find out what it was all about.
So if you believe that, in your case, Boston people are interested about the Boston property market, well, not even Boston, just Boston itself, then, because you wouldn't know what they were talking about, what I'm advocating with the digital mayor is, instead of just talking about the property market, which is a very important part of people's lives, why don't we talk about the whole of Boston? But that's going to come across as quite strange, because you're going to say, well, hold on a second, do we want to be turning ourselves into a newspaper here? Well, in a kind of way, yes. You see, what if you could create some videos which basically says, in your case, let's do Boston, but change the word Boston to any town that you live in, and say, I love Boston. I love living here. I love working here. I want everybody who watches these videos to move to Boston, to live here, work here, be it buy, be it rent, whether invest, buy properties, it doesn't matter. The thing is, though, if you chuck that out to Boston people, my intuition tells me that most of the people in Boston will watch it, won't they?
I'm sure they probably would do. But how would I set about doing that if I haven't got those particular skills?
Well, what we're going to do is we've come up with a course called the Digital Mayor course, where we're going to teach people how to create advanced content, be it video or in the written word. So we're going to teach them, I've got some clients who've been going to the local school and working out what's happened to property prices in the school catchment area compared to the rest of the town, to property prices. And there was this guy in Leicester who basically said, if you live in this primary school catchment area, your property value has gone up by £36,000 more than the rest of Leicester. Now, he produced that video, he put it onto Facebook. Within a matter of a few hours, someone from the local school picked it up and posted it on the school's Facebook group. Now, the only people that are on that school's Facebook group are people who send their kids to the school. Talk about captive audience, 3,500 people watched that video within a day. This is engagement. So that's one type of content you could provide. Another type of content is local property updates on particular housing estates. And you could put a leaflet through everybody's door who lives on that housing estate. Do you know what's happening in this housing estate? You could also do videos about like Homes Under the Hammer videos. But even deeper than that, if your raison d'etre, Jeff, is talking about how wonderful the town is, then why don't you two or three times a week go to the local butchers and interview them and say, Bob, you're the best butcher in Boston. Why is Boston such a great place to live? Why is Boston a great place to work? What's the best thing about Boston people? And then Bob the butcher will be giving it some of that, won't he? Because he's so proud of his Boston butchery. What would Jeff do? No, sorry, you're Jeff. But what would Bob do with that video? He's going to share it like hell. And then you do every single shop, and your raison d'etre is always, I love Boston. It's a great place to live in. I'm going to show you the best bits. But like we said, most of the people who are going to watch it are people from within Boston or whichever town you come from. And you've got their attention and their engagement. And in between those videos are going to be your videos about the property market. And everyone's interested in the property market, aren't they, Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, it would also, as well as people within the location that you're talking about, if you were applying for a job away from where you currently live, it would be really interesting as a prospective purchaser for you to find out where the job is and what would be on offer for you and your family,
and who they're going to go to if they need if they're going to need an estate agent or a letting agent to find a property. So it cuts both ways. It'll be, most of the attention will be on people from within the town, but it'll also attract people from out of the town. And again, I've got instances where I've got the local council people who are already doing this digital mayor. I've got the local council approaching them, asking to be interviewed for this. It's almost like a little TV show on the town. And people, thousands and thousands of eyeballs. You need the attention and the engagement for people to trust you. So instead of talking about yourself, talk about the town, talk about what makes the town so great, the schools, the shops, the council, everything. Talk about the property market as well, and you'll get the eyeballs and the engagement, and you'll win. But I mean, most people don't feel comfortable doing interviews and doing videos. So I'm going to turn the tables around on you now, Jeff. Now, Jeff, what do you do?
I'm a journalist. I've been a journalist for more than 40 years.
Okay. And what we're bringing you in on the Digital Mayor course. What can you bring to the party which can teach these agents?
I think it's twofold, really. It's trying to give people the confidence to do the interviews that we've been talking about, and the techniques that can be used to bring people at ease, to forget that the camera even exists and just be holding a conversation as we've been doing, and to have the confidence to know that we're totally in charge of the film. If something goes wrong and you fall over your words or whatever, absolutely no shakes at all, because we just do it again until we're happy with it. And it's having the confidence in the structure of an interview so that you know which points you need to cover, but also having the confidence to be flexible and listen to the answers that your subject is giving, so that the interview flows and has great continuity, and the viewer of the video can actually learn something from it.
Interesting you say learn. So what you're going to do, you're going to teach them how to plan it and do it as well?
Plan it and do it, and be confident about what they're doing, because you also have to learn to manage your interview subjects very broadly. They tend to fall into two categories. Okay. There are people who are very nervous and answer with very few words, and they need coaxing to make the conversation blossom more. And
you can teach people that?
You can teach people to have more confidence. Confidence is the key. Yes. People are frightened of cameras, can be anyway. And then at the other end of the scale, you get people who love the cameras and love the sound of their own voice, and you actually need to structure them and keep them on the straight and narrow as to what the conversation is, and to get an interview that isn't too long and bores the pants off any prospective viewer. And we can certainly learn a bit about that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that you've had television and newspaper training, and you've been through some pretty big jobs. Maybe you could just share with the guys what you've been through. But what could you help on the course on trying to get your words into newspapers and getting onto radio and getting onto TV itself, mainstream terrestrial TV?
Okay, well, do the first bit first. The commercial of what I've done. I've worked at editor level for most of my life, and was actually a main board director of a regional newspaper group. Then for a while, I ran my own freelance news agency, basically living off my wits and finding clients who wanted to buy my work. And that was when I did a lot of work for radio and television, both locally and nationally. And I also did quite a lot of freelance work for national newspapers, including whole publications for what was then Express newspapers.
So if you think about it, you've actually been there because you've had to get your work on the TV and on the radio and in newspapers. Yes. So on the Digital Mayor course, you'll be able to teach the agents that are coming on that how through your many years of experience, how to get themselves on those three mediums.
Yes, and there are skills in doing things in a manner and in a form that's acceptable to a busy news desk, but you must never run away from the actual content and contacts within the industry, and finding out who your local news editor is, for example, and having the confidence to pick up the phone and then say,
"Don't give too much away, Jeff."
Yeah, okay, but you need to build. You need to build contacts, and we can also talk about, once you've done that, how to structure a fairly basic press release, so that when you send that in, which you then follow up with a telephone call or whatever, yes, people know that there is actually a news angle in this, and it's not just what news desks call advertising puffs. There is actually an angle in here which people will be interested in.
I think we could learn a lot from that, because again, a lot of them do get good content. They write themselves or have it written for them, but sometimes probably you just need to change the context of it so it's more user friendly for newspapers.